Hi, in today's video, I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison for skin smoothing. We're going to take a look at skin smoothing inside of Luminar AI, and then we're going to compare it to a plugin from Imagenomic called Portraiture, and that's typically used with either Lightroom or Photoshop, not as a standalone, but as a plugin for one of those tools. So I'm kind of curious to see how they compare. How fast are they to use? How much do we like the results from each one? And then we'll take a look, and I'll have some information down below in the description for both products. Hi, my name is William Beem. I'm a photographer just like you. And like I said, we want to go ahead and compare these two products. So I'm going to use Photoshop as a base for launching both of these products. Also, I want to mention I'm an affiliate for both Luminar AI and for Portraiture, just so there's a little disclosure there. And I'll have affiliate links to both products in the description below in case you're interested. All right, let's take a look at our photo. All right, so we're inside of Photoshop here. You can see that we've got a couple of issues going on. There is some shine on her forehead, and she doesn't have bad skin, but in every portrait, I think there's a need for some skin smoothing, particularly on females, simply because the way lighting works, the way we just have a still photograph, it kind of really changes our image of how someone looks compared to how we would see them in person. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start off first with Luminar AI. I'm going to come over here to Filter, Skylum Software, and Luminar AI. All right, so now we're in the familiar Luminar AI interface. I'm not going to work with templates. I'm going to go straight to Edit because we're only looking at one thing today. We're going to be looking at Portrait and Skin AI. And really, you only have a few choices here. I'm going to bring the amount slider up to about 50%. And I'm going to click on Skin Defects Removal, and I'm going to work on that shine just a little bit. And I think there's a lot of shine up there, so I'm going to bring this up probably about 70, 72. And let me move in just a little bit closer. This usually kind of bounces around me. But I think, let's take a look at our before and after. All right, so you can see this is where we were before, and there are some blemishes that pop up. And if I take my finger off the eyeball up there for the before look, you'll see there were some blemishes here and up here. I'll do it again. So I'm going to hit before, and you can see how those blemishes come up. So the skin defects removal, I think, does a good job. Also, our skin smoothing. If you look over here on our cheeks, you can see that it's done a very good job. You still have texture and pores. We can bring the amount up a little bit more. I'm afraid if I take it all the way over to 100, and this is going to be true of any tool, you start to get kind of an unrealistic, perhaps almost plastic kind of look, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to bring this step back down. I'm going to say about 70, 71, and I'm going to back off a little bit. One of the important things you want to look for in skin smoothing is that you're getting all the skin. It doesn't do any good if you have a tool that only does skin smoothing on the face and then ignores the neck or the chest area, any other area where you've got skin smoothing. So if I go ahead and click the eyeball, you can see there's our before and then after. And you can see I'm looking kind of where that little knot is on the top in her chest area. And you can see how the skin smoothing was working right in that area. So we're getting skin smoothing from the top of her head down to this area and also on her neck. And I think that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and click Apply. And I want to save this back to Photoshop. Okay, so now I'm going to go over here to Open, and I'm going to get an original image that we'll use for the Portraiture version. Okay, so we have our original photo here. I'm going to go up to Filter, Imagenomic, and we're going to select Portraiture 3. So it'll load up, and again, we'll get a different user interface. And this tool, you can see that it says it is also an AI tool. And you can see how it's selected and masked the skin. It's kind of blocked out the eyes, blocked out the teeth. You can do a lot of fine-tuning over here. You can also change the skin smoothing to normal, medium, strong. I usually leave it on normal, and you've got to pull down over here where you can find different types. And I'm going to go ahead and select smoothing medium on this one. There are some different options, as you can see down here, whether you want to do glamour, tones, high key or low key, or how aggressive you want it to be done. So we're going to go ahead and try the medium one because I'm curious to see how that works. And it's changed the settings over here. And you can see that the auto mask is on. It does, I think, an exceptional job of masking. And honestly, all I have to do is decide, do I want the output to the same layer, a new layer, or as a mask? I kind of like having it as a new layer. And then I click OK. And then it does a little bit of processing. And next thing you know, I'm done. So you can see over here that we have our skin smoothing. It's done a job on her chest, on her neck. And I think even though it did a kind of a medium job, I pushed it that far because in Luminar AI, we push things up to about 70, 72 or so. So that was kind of, I think, a little beyond medium, maybe a little bit aggressive, but I wanted to try and get a comparative version. So let's look at her face and skin tone here, and the smoothing is done. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I think that this gets a little bit beyond what I like. Remember what I was talking about, kind of getting a plastic feel. So what we can do over here is we can simply reduce the opacity rather than go back and redo it. So let's say I bring this back down to roughly about 70. I think the skin looks a little bit more natural there. So let me back off. And what I really like here compared to the Luminar AI is I think the skin smoothing on her chest and on her neck is much better. So let me go click on this other one. We're now looking at the one that's done with Luminar AI. And I think her neck and chest skin looks just a little bit rougher in comparison to this version, which is with Imagenomic Portraiture. But overall, I'd find either of them acceptable, but I think I'm giving a little bit of an edge to the Imagenomic. I like it. It's a very simple tool to use. Go in, click it, and it gives you great results. And it gives you more options for how you want to have that skin smoothing result happen compared to Luminar AI. But the difference is Luminar AI does a lot of things. Imagenomic Portraiture does one thing and does it very well. So it's able to give you some variations, I think, that Luminar AI doesn't, because they would really have to bog down the tool to give you as many options as we see here in Portraiture. So which one do you use? Honestly, I think it depends upon your workflow. If you're primarily in Lightroom or Photoshop, I'd say that it is better to go into Portraiture. It loads faster, it gives you more options, and then it puts things back right away. However, if you're doing your workflow in Luminar AI, I'd stick with the skin smoothing options that they have there. Okay, that was just a quick comparison of two AI skin smoothing tools. I hope this was interesting and useful to you and maybe showed you something that you didn't know before. If you like this, please go ahead, click the like button. That tells YouTube if I'm doing something right, and hopefully they will share this with more people. Thank you so much. I'll see you again in the next video.